Okay, at first, I would like to share the words of 7 Pyalan masters from China named Master Shantao. And this is from Ojo Raisan, hymns in praise of rebirth. So please join me in Gassho. Please put your palms together. 一つには苦行種、いわゆるかの仏及び一切の少女等を苦行礼拝す、ゆえに苦行種と名付く等。The first is the practice of veneration, to venerate and reverence that Buddha as well as the sages. For this reason, it is called the practice of veneration. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Good morning, everyone. And welcome to today's service. You know, I was talking with Brenda and Ken at the beginning of the service. We probably have really less people today. And, you know, probably while chanting, we see more people. And, you know, disprove it, right? I think before the service, well, at the beginning of the service, we had about 25 people, maybe. Right now, I counted 70 something, so, you know. Yeah, I guess it's a kind of Oregon Buddhist temple thing. People come like around 10 or 10:05 or 10:10. But anyway, so it's been 3 years and a month since I started the virtual online services. And you know, we started with having few people attending the service. And even though the contents of the talk are a bit intense, we have about 10 people participate in the service every morning. And interesting thing is that most of them are from out of state or out of country. And I enjoy watching the names of people in the chat. And I feel that the teaching of Nembutsuge is slowly but surely spreading to the world. You know, actually it is a great interest for me how and why people found interest in Jodo Shinshu teaching. Because I grew up in the temple minister's family, and the teaching and the temple was always around me, you know, I feel it's kind of natural to come to Jodo Shinshu temple and, you know, attend service. So I really wondered what interested you to come to Jodo Shinshu temple. But on the other hand, you might be interested in how I grew up as a son of the minister's family. So I will talk a little bit about it, but I would like to talk about what today's passage is about first. And then, you know, I try to incorporate how I grew up as a temple minister's son. So the words I shared at the beginning is the words of Master Shantao from Ojo Raisan, hymns in praise of rebirth, which is quoted in Honen Shonin's masterwork, Senjakushu. And Honen Shonin is the teacher of our founder, Shinran Shonin. And Senjakushu is the writing which declared the independence of the Pyalan school from the traditional Buddhist schools, which regarded the Pyalan school as their sub-school. And this passage is quoted in chapter on four modes of practice. And in this chapter, Honen Shonin is saying that when we practice Nembutsuge, we should practice with the four modes of practice. And the first one is the practice of veneration. After quoting this passage from Master Shantao's, Honen Shonin also quotes another passages from another writings by Master Kuichi, who is the founder of Chinese Representation School. And in the passage, Master Kuichi explains what the practice of veneration in detail. The first is to venerate Amida Buddha and the sages of the Pyalan. And Master Kuichi said, whether moving or standing still, sitting or lying down, one should never turn one's back on the West, and one should never blow one's nose, spit, or relieve oneself while facing the West. So west is the direction where the Buddha land of Amida is located. So direction west is kind of treasured direction in Pure Land tradition. And I am sure that no one spit in Hondo or relieve oneself in Hondo, right? But probably most of you have felt it is impossible not to turn our back on the west, right? In fact, most of us are, turning our back on the west right now, except me, right? And every time we cross the Willamette River from the downtown to this side, we have to turn our back on the west. We cannot drive a car like, Mira from the cars in the Pixar animation, right? Like this. So, we should turn our back on the west occasionally. But I am assuming that not turning our back on the west does not mean we don't physically turn our back on the west. And I'm not sure if this is the same in China too, but in Japan, turning our back to somebody is the expression of having no interest. Having no interest. And it is considered the rude things to do. So I feel that Master Kuiji saying not turning one's back on the west means that a practitioner of Nembutsu should not have no interest in Amida Buddha's location. For instance, in this Hondo, we don't stand in front of Amida Buddha, turning our back to Amida Buddha, and we don't chat with somebody like in front of Amida Buddha, turning our back on the Amida Buddha. And be mindful of the location of where Amida Buddha is nurtures our mind of respect, veneration towards Amida Buddha. So, since when I was little, I was told we should not throw our legs towards Amida Buddha, whether it is in Hondo or in front of the home altar, because it is rude. And I don't remember how many times I was scolded by my parents by throwing my leg towards Amida Buddha. They're like, oh, I said, don't do it, right? But when I was little, I was thinking that, wow, but it's just a statue. But then, Master Kuiji also said, venerate the image of the Buddha, Bodhisattvas, and Masters, and the scriptures. So the way of thinking that this is just a statue, so I don't have to venerate the statue, this is not the attitude of the followers of Nembutsu path. By treating the statue or the image of Amida Buddha properly with care, cultivates our mind of veneration. So looking back, I think Amida Buddha was always the center of my life. Every morning we put rice offering to the Buddha, conduct service, and after the service, take down the rice offering, which imbued the fragrance of incense, and we ate it as the breakfast. And when I came home from school, I put hands together to the Buddha first, before I do anything, right? So before dinner, we conducted the service, and we had dinner after the service. We had dinner after the service, right? And this life naturally cultivated the mind of veneration. And I know some scholars of Jodo Shinshu don't like this expression, but I was raised by hearing from my parents. Amida-san ga itsumo mitoru yo. Amida Buddha is always watching you. Especially when I did something wrong. Right? But it is not that Amida Buddha is going to punish me or something. Right? But by knowing that Amida Buddha is always watching me, I try to behave myself from my childhood. So, Master Kuiji also said the practitioner of Nembutsu should venerate good teachers of the tradition and teachers of other tradition. So it's not, we are not respecting only the teacher of Jodo Shinshu, but we should respect the teacher of other traditions, such as, Nichiren. We have Nichiren and Shingon in our Hosan, right? So we have to, but we should respect them. And we also have different faith groups, right? So we have to respect the teachers of other faiths too, right? And then, let's see. Master Kuiji also said we should venerate fellow practitioners of the same path. That means you guys, right? And also the three treasures. So some temples we have podium on top on the stage. I think that is for it easier for people to see, who's talking. But I don't like to talk from on the stage. That is kind of the feeling that we are on the same ground, right? We are on the same ground. This is my way of showing my respect towards our Sangha. We are on the same ground, and we are the Dharma friends. You call me sensei, but it doesn't mean I'm above anybody else. I'm on the same ground, right? I have explained about these things in detail in the morning service videos. So if you are interested, please go to online, YouTube, and watch the services. But I believe the reason Honen Shonin quoting the words of Master Kuiji in chapter on forms of practice is not only that it is to discuss the forms of practice in detail, but also to show us the attitude of the practitioner of Nembutsu. Around Honen Shonin's time, some people misunderstood the teaching of Nembutsu and intentionally committed wrongdoings, argued with other schools' followers, and so on. But the followers of Nembutsu have the attitude of veneration, respect towards the others. And in the larger sutra, it said that those who touches the light of Amida Buddha becomes soft and gentle in body and mind. The teaching of Nembutsu cultivates our mind, nurtures us to be soft and gentle person. And the mind of veneration is cultivated through putting Amida Buddha in center of our lives, instead of always being self-centered. So please be mindful where Amida Buddha is, at least when we are at the temple. Right? And now I would like to conclude my talk first, and I will play bass guitar today. So please join me in Gashio. Please put your palms together. The first is the practice of veneration, to venerate and reverence that Buddha as well as all the sages. For this reason, it is called the practice of veneration. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Nam Man Da Butsu. Nam Man Da Butsu. Nam Man.